All right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies might have inspired it. Today on the show, it's kind of a unique episode. It's not a regular episode of the show. This is a special bonus follow-up. To follow up our latest episode on Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, the folks at Briarcliff Entertainment invited me out to a special event for the film that happened down on Fremont Street here in Las Vegas. And I went down there with friend of the show, Kris West, who is also a podcaster from the film podcast Real Sick, as well as the Spiral Out podcast, and his recently launched This Movie Tastes Like Music show. When I found out that this event was going to feature Danny Carey from Tool and Scott Kirkland from the Crystal Method, and I knew that Kris was a huge fan of these two, I was like, I got to get him involved. And we went down there, and we didn't know what exactly was going to go on, if we were just going to go, maybe have a couple drinks, get some free food, and see some cool music. We ended up in back rooms talking to Danny Carey and Scott Kirkland. And so we've got a couple of interviews. We tie these into the film Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which of course is what this event was all about. But we end up talking about music in general, their inspirations, music and film. We end up talking about AI a bunch because, of course, this film is very focused on AI. Excuse some of the poor audio. These were all just very last minute. Throw us in a room, or in the Scott Kirkland interview case, in the back alley behind the event venue with noises everywhere and all kinds of stuff. So we just got what we could get. But it was an amazing night. We got to hang out with a bunch of really cool people. And because these interviews kind of fit more for Kris's podcast, I let him do the actual interview. We worked together very, very last second on some questions to ask these guys, so that way it would fit on both of our shows. But Kris will be doing the interviews with them, and that's what's coming up here in a second. Before we get to it, I want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together. Of course, make sure to go listen to the full episode on Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. But before you do that, if you haven't yet, go see Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And, of course, you could also follow me on social media at PiecingPod. With that said, let's get to these interviews with Danny Carey and Scott Kirkland.
Kris West here from Spiral Out, This Movie Tastes Like Music, and in collaboration with David Rosen's Piecing It Together pod, I got to sit down with Danny Carey, the drummer from Tool, during a press event for the movie Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which described my night. I had good luck, I had fun, and I didn't die. Danny Carey is the powerhouse behind Tool, one of the most respected drummers in modern music. And for the film Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, Danny Carey teamed up with Joe Carterman and Shepard Stevenson to make an original track for the film. I got to sit down with him for a few minutes and talk movies, music, and crossover between two AI, Sphere, and an upcoming album.
Kris here with Piecing It Together pod, and This Movie Tastes Like Music with the legendary Danny Carey.
Thanks for having me.
Big fan, big fan. So this movie was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. You guys did a song.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's I've been in Hollywood for 40 years now, or something like that, and all the music I've done, I've never really felt as much a part of it as like when you do soundtrack things or work in a movie. I feel like, wow, now I'm in the Hollywood scene. Like, I remember Shep and I did a score to film. We got to go down to the premiere on. God, what was the theater?
The Egyptian.
Yeah, the Egyptian theater. And
Yeah.
Was that the Turkey?
Finally in Hollywood.
Yeah, I remember you saying that way back then. That was like 25 years ago.
But that's exciting. There's such anticipation for the film.
For this one?
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about the song?
It was pretty experimental, We kind of put it together out of jams and things we've been working on for, months ago. Lots of treatments and stuff to bring it up to date or make it fit in, You got to be very flexible in this world.
Can you think of a piece of film and music that maybe inspired you at all, or something that sticks?
All my favorite composer guys. I mean, like I love Hans and stuff. Stuart Copeland was a big influence on me even back in the days. Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman's great.
I think you can't help but love what they do. It's so genius.
So this isn't the first movie where did music for you. You've done another one, right? With I remember.
Well, I played on the Man of Steel with Hans. That was like 12 of the greatest drummers around, not including myself. Jim Keltner and Benny Callahan and all these guys. It was a neat experiment because there's 12 great drummers there. We rented out the giant sound stage. Then we each would have like a bass drummer, Tiffany, and sometimes it was just all 12 of us just tapping it with our fingers, with different instruments in that giant room. It was really genius of us to do that.
So I know you do some experimental electronic stuff.
Yeah.
And this movie has like an AI element. Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, so I'm very excited.
Yeah. What do you think about AI music right now? Or the use of that kind of technology?
Well, I think that anything that uses AI should be labeled as such. That's for sure. So people aren't getting wrong. That's the main part. It's one thing to use the AI for a very valuable tool, which I think is genius. But I think credit needs to be given where credit is due, and people need to get paid for what they work their entire life on to create. It's atmospheres and genres and. Just every, styles of any sort.
We don't have it anymore.
It's kind of a shame when, it's being taken and used after, you're not, you haven't invented it.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes an amalgamation of a lot of people's work.
Yeah, some of it is. And some of that is really cool. I heard a Tool song, this R&B thing, interpretation. I was like, oh my God, this is a great arrangement. This is pretty cool, But
has Tool ever done music in a movie? I know I've seen a couple commercials.
Of Tool?
Yeah.
A few, not too many things, we used to try to avoid it back in the old days, but now that they've taken away all our record royalties, you got to make a buck somehow. So our standards have lowered to pay the rent on it.
I would say the Tool is a very cinematic band. You guys have like your visuals during the live show.
Yeah, we're very much into that. We're hoping when we release a new record, maybe do a stint at the Sphere, because I think we're a perfect band for that. We've been talking to those guys.
Has that been said anywhere else?
It would be a first, definitely. The preparation is pretty intense to get everything up to the highest resolution and everything. It's a very expensive endeavor, and it takes a while to get into the black. I think it's quite a few shows before you make any money. But it would be work cut out for that, definitely.
Oh, of course, yeah. Have you been to the Sphere?
Yeah, well, I just took a tour of it. I haven't actually seen a full-on show, but we took a stay to show it off.
I have friends that literally that's all they talk about is like, when is Tool going to play this?
Incredible, man. Almost got vertigo.
What you guys did. I can't even imagine what the set you guys will play with me.
Yeah.
So, not only you guys are cinematic, but you use a lot of different artists as well. How important is putting other people's art together? Like music, movies, visuals?
Yeah, I mean, we all draw on our influences from sculptors, painters, whatever, any kind of artist like that. It's all feeds into your psyche and affects what I do, your creativity. So it's been fun on our last few tours. Adam's really connected with the visual art, especially painter world and stuff. So we have all of our friends do unique posters for each show.
I got a couple.
It's been really successful. People love it. It's fun for us, and it's great for the artists too. So spread the gospel.
Yeah, one of my friends, Mike Gamble, he did a few for your Pacific.
That's great.
Well, the Pacific
Tell him
Invasion.
thanks.
Yeah. Is there a influential movie for you that comes to mind?
Oh God, no, not one.
What's the first one that comes to your mind?
God. Well, I mean, like a sci-fi, like Star Wars or something like that. Things that affect you as a kid.
Sure.
Blade Runner was a really big one for me. The first one, but I was that ripe age for influence. And I loved all the synthesizer stuff. I was a big Van Gillis fan. The soundtrack of that movie, by the way.
Yeah, no, I just recently watched it. They really.
That was one of the first movies I have to sit in it. I really noticed the soundtrack.
Yeah.
A lot of times it just is a part of the film.
Melds in and out.
Yeah. It's neat when it works that well together and makes a statement.
So Tool to Sphere, you got some movies and stuff coming out. Working with Joe Carter.
Yeah, and Shepard Stevenson
From Pygmy
So we're going to be doing
Lizards.
quite a lot of stuff lately. Maybe trying to score a few things and keep it busy, man.
Yeah.
Working on a lot of new Tool songs right now. So
How many?
hopefully 2027, album. That's the goal.
2027. Wow. Well, Danny, thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, I don't know. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks.
Nice.
At a press event for the movie Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, I was lucky enough to get a few minutes with founding member of the Crystal Method, Scott Kirkland. We got to chat about movies, music, movies in music, AI, and just entertainment in general. It's a really fun conversation. Enjoy. And sorry about the audio. Everything that could go bad in this interview did go bad. From helicopters, police sirens, drills, trash cans, hammers. Literally everything that could have interrupted an interview happened.
I'm Kris. I'm here with Scott Kirkland from That's a Method.
Yes.
We're here from Piecing Together podcast, and it is like music. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah. Got a couple of questions. Why is music so important in film?
Music is important in film to me because at that moment when I was 7 years old and was in that theater and heard for Star Wars. So, I mean, I remember listening to that score while playing with my action figures. And back in those days, obviously, you didn't have access to the film, and so you would have to. Maybe I saw it 10 times, but I would always use that score to relive the movie. So I think at that moment in my life, I really started to think about like music as part of the storytelling process. And so when I get a chance to score, looking at picture before there was anything there, those early days of really understanding how important the music was to a scene, gave me a little bit of foundation to be able to find my way through scoring whatever was in front of me.
I think you mentioned Star Wars. Later in life, was there a movie that influenced how you made you? So how you're sound now?
I definitely think that the Plus Brothers score song Fight Club is, probably, I think would be. Oh my God, I would listen to that outside of that movie. I listen to that, 1,000 times. So I can, I'd always have that CD in the multi-chamber CD, player, and I can drop the needle on any one of those tracks and being sort of, either brought back to a particular scene or just reimagine something on its own because it's so well done.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I supported Fight Club as a cassette tape.
Oh, nice.
Movie.
Oh, nice.
And we just listened to it at school.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, amazing. It's and then the dialogue. And, it's, I think also the Drive score, which wasn't necessarily, that was more music supervisor rather than score, but still really, really well done. And I think that those are two. And I think the Chemical Brothers did a really great job with Hannah as well. But those are the sort of the ones that come to mind when I think about the best of those.
So when you're making a track, do you ever imagine where it would live in the film? Like opening credit, the driving montage, chaos moments?
Well, I mean, it's funny. We've been very fortunate to have our music in, that were sort of music supervisor sort of placed after. I actually, strangely, I think because of my connection to those early days of listening to John Williams' story, I do think about music and almost like an antagonistic way. Sounds percolate. One sound would come up, and there's a track that the mega tracks on around, and it's where I'm thinking of this sound has got it's picking its head up, and then there's another. They kind of because they have to. It has to be almost like a conversation that takes place, especially when you have music without vocals or limited vocals, like Christian Method does. So you try to. I've always naturally. I never thought about it until later on when I was sort of asked these questions about our music, and I started. Actually, I do have a. I like sounds antagonizing each other and speaking to each other, and rising up and falling down, and having those moments where one sound barks a little out of the other.
What's it called the genesis of electronic music?
What is Gora? Funny, he did one of our music videos for a track called Born Too Slow. So the few when we met him, he was just happened to be in his in a production office. And we were at that moment searching for a music director for the video. Someone had come up with some ideas. You send the music out to these companies. He heard it and immediately I want to talk to the guys. I got these ideas. So I know from the conversations that we had back then that he's really passionate about music. We had similar, conversations that both resonated with us about how music affects the way, I think that what I got from him from those conversations, this was like 15 years ago, that he understands gets music and always sound effects always making music so much harder. And we did a score for a couple of scenes in a movie called Real Steel.
Yeah.
And it was
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman, robot fighting. It was funny, in the Real Steel movie, they gave us the final scene where there was robot fighting, and it was they gave it the scene without the sound effects in.
Oh, yeah.
So we were kind of like, just because we were writing to the what we were watching on the screen, he had these sounds that were, a little too close to what eventually became the sound effects and all the things like that. So Danny Elfman, who was doing the wrestling score on that movie, was kind enough to bring our mix in to his session and sound design it for us and made it fit a little bit better. So in a strange way. Yeah, we worked with Danny Elfman on a project.
He's a legend.
Oh, he's incredible.
No,
on every level. Someone else that I think that has changed the way that people listen and to experience movies.
So this movie obviously has a big AI influence. What do you think about AI and the use of it?
Well, I think that's I think that there's some aspects of it that are going to lead the creative artist and individual to find what they're looking for faster. If you could type a prompt that would go through the thousands of presets that you'd have that would specifically get you to, especially because when you're making music for movies, television shows, you really have, you're under the gun. You're the last part of the process. They want you to deliver, yesterday. So if and then as someone who also, kind of thinks faster than he searches, and maybe at some part isn't as organized as others, that idea of being able to find something that you're looking for faster using some sort of AI prompt is beneficial. The thing that obviously is scary is that people are these certain platforms are finding music that resonates with them, but aren't really told or explained or shared that the music that they're hearing isn't made by a human. So I think at some point we were starting a conversation with somebody earlier about this, about how there has to be transparency and not this sort of like behemoth music streaming companies trying to make a couple extra dollars. But yeah, so I think it's a scary proposition if not reined in a way, and if people aren't aware of music that they're consuming, whether it comes from behemoths or
What's your favorite scene in the movie?
well, I mean, to me, because I had a part in it, the scene in Tropic Thunder when he goes, she goes, it's like, take it, put him in a real shit.
Oh, yeah,
take
yeah.
it into the jungle, and then they show him on the helicopter, and
That's the name of the game.
The crystal method, the game track is dun, 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 and they're flying over the jungle, and then they added orchestral score to the end of it. And I think one of the crazy things about that moment was we were brought on the studio lot and shown the movie before it came out because Ben was a big fan of that song. And in fact, he told us at the time that, remember when he was shooting those museum movies, because back in those days, of course, he's being chased by a dinosaur, and so he's like, he would use Name of the Game to give him, like, hype him up to do those scenes. So to have that come full circle, he uses our music in I think one of the funniest, groundbreaking, epic movies of all time. That would probably be one of the to me. I know that if you gave me, a little bit more time, I could think of something.
That's a great
better than that, but that's definitely one of the goals.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so
I look forward to seeing what you do with this movie. Kris, yes.
Well, I didn't get a chance to do anything for the movie, but I did do I curated a special opening for the night show using some of the elements from.
Nice. I'm kind of
Yeah, but I have you seen the movie?
No, not.
It's a fun run. Yeah, it's.
I love Sam Rockwell.
He's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of in a completely different era and a completely different time, like Big Trouble in Little China. Where it's like as we're probably not too far off in ages. You're probably a little younger than me, but that movie was just silly. He's like has this swashbuckler, we're gonna all die, or maybe we won't. We'll see. When they're going up in the elevator and they're like, and he's like, y'all pump for this?
I feel great.
Yeah, I feel great.
I feel great right now.
Because they took some of that powder or something like that. Yeah, I feel good. Yeah, man. They're all like, yeah.
The guy from Trim.
Yeah. I think it's probably, I think that movie is, I don't think it's underrated because I think anybody ever we've talked about that movie, I remember somebody got that.
People that have seen it when they were
absolutely, yeah.
Jack Parsons.
Yeah. It's really like, I think one of those fun movies where anytime it's on, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm gonna empty down on this for a hot minute. Yeah.
Let's get some piss.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed those interviews with Danny Carey and Scott Kirkland. Thanks to Kris West for getting those interviews and cutting them together. It was a really fun event over there, celebrating Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, all throughout downtown Las Vegas. Who would think that Danny Carey would be leading a marching drum thing down Fremont Street and then an after party DJ'd by Scott Kirkland of the Crystal Method? Anything can happen in Las Vegas, of course. But hope you enjoyed that. And thank you to everyone for listening. If you're enjoying piecing it together, make sure you are subscribed. If you're hearing a lot of noise in the background, we have a new foster dog. His name is Pete, and he is available, and he is awesome. But he's also behind a gate right now, and he really wants to play with me. But I got to record my podcast. Hopefully it's not picking up too much. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed. We got a lot of piecing it together on the way, a Lots of episodes coming up, so get subscribed. You could also follow me on social media at PiecingPod, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And with that said, I'm going to close out with a piece of music like I always do. And I was thinking at first, what do I have that's inspired by Tool? But they're a little bit too technical for me and my kind of music. I think I probably have some Tool influence on some tracks, but immediately though, I went to something that's a little bit more Crystal Method inspired. So I'm going to go with a track called Antiviral from my album, More Content. Definitely that kind of stuff is what was in mind when I was making this track. So let's go with Antiviral. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.